Greetings, fellow adventurers. Well, I've been watching a lot of videos on YouTube about window covers and blackout covers and blackout curtains. And I've got a lot of ideas. I've seen people use tension cords, bungee cords, paracords, pieces of aluminum. And here in Michigan, I recently took out all of our snow stakes from the front of the house where the plows come through. We're getting some warmer days. So I was getting adventurous and decided to go ahead and pull them. And it gave me an idea as I was walking up the driveway. I bent one, and it has a little bit of a bend, like a fishing rod. And I thought, could I use this? Well, I didn't like that it was orange, so I figured I'd put some gaffer tape on it. But the curtain kind of had friction against the gaffer tape. So I scrubbed that idea and pulled the gaffer tape off, sprayed it with some black paint real quick, and that seemed to work. It was still slick then. And I put the curtains in it, and I started to bend it, and I realized I'm going to need to cut it. So I cut it with just a little hacksaw, and then I stuck it in a pencil sharpener actually. I took the pencil sharpener and did both ends, so I have a nice pointy end on both ends. And I have a black rod now that I've painted it, instead of the regular snow stake rod that's orange and reflective. And I put the curtains back on, and I realized that the hole for the rod is much larger than what I really wanted. I actually wanted the rod to be sitting down in that pocket and for there to be a top fringe. So I enlisted Stacey to create a seam just above where the rod would sit at the bottom, and it created a seam for the rod to sit in with another like 1.5 to 1.75 inches of top fringe. Now what I think that's going to help do is hide more light. Here's that snow stake that I've painted black, and I used a pencil sharpener, like I said, to make each one a pointy end, and I'll show you why in a minute. Now, these panels are 44 inches long. They're going to hang down, and each panel is 42 inches wide. So, with 44 inches of hang, as well as 42 inches wide times 2, we have plenty to span the gap, as well as to hang down far enough to provide that privacy. This is that top seam, where I actually had Stacey run another seam. So when I put that rod in there, we are going to have a nice little top fringe here that's going to hopefully help block some of the light that comes in above where we would normally do this. When I originally put this in the car and it sat like this up in the top, there was still quite a bit of light coming through. And I thought, wow, what a waste of space here. So let's roll it down, have Stacey run a seam for us, and that's going to give us a little top fringe, which should hopefully help block some of that light. So let's give it a try. So now we have the curtain installed on the rod. We have that nice top fringe going on like I talked about. I think that's going to help block out some light at the top. And like I said, this is 62 inches in length total. Is about the gap that I think is going to work good to give us a bend and a bow that'll kind of hold itself up onto the ceiling by itself, just by the tension of the rod itself. We're just going to try this. I mean, it'll be what it'll be. If it doesn't work, I'll trim it up, or I'll get another one and cut it to a longer length if I need to. But hey, that's what we do. We live and learn, and we go as we go. So we are going to try that now. And I'm here in the garage right now. I've got some battery packs charging up. There's a 300 watt, there's a 300 watt, there's a 500 watt up there. There's the little fridge ready to go. So I'm getting ready for a trip down to Mississippi, Clarksdale, Mississippi, for a blues festival in the middle of April. So I'm trying to get the last things of this van done, and the privacy window blockers are all up. Stacey made a great video for that and did a wonderful job on them. But the last step of the privacy for the inside is the blackout curtains. Let's give this a try and just see how it goes. You may recognize this van. And there's that bed. If you haven't seen the video on how we built it, it's pretty slick. 3 pieces, folds up, goes all the way into the back. You can even open up the stove, and goes pretty darn handy and pretty darn nice. Let's see. We're going to step on in. Now I notice a lot of people, when they're running stuff in, are going into this area right here. I kind of wanted to avoid that. I know that there's a side airbag in here somewhere, and I don't really want to mess with that too much. So my thought is to use this area. There's a piece of metal here. I'm going to go behind it or in front of the seatbelt here. And this is just something that we'll use when we're using the privacy curtain. It's going to bow up, go across the ceiling, come down, and go to the other one right there. Again, this is an idea, so I don't know if this is going to work. We're going to try it right now, though. Stick that right into the seatbelt part. And stick the other, we're going to bend it. We're going to push the top fringe up a little bit, which I think will help block more light. What I have here are a couple little clips, little metal clips. Going to use those on the sides to pin it to the side. Hold up some of these areas. Going to use the seat belt, clip it to the seat belt, let it hang. And let's close this thing up. That's working pretty good. Still got that opening to go up to the front. Close that up. So it's looking like 42 inches works pretty well. Let's see if I can turn this light. There's the lights off. So you get a little bit of a gap here, which we could probably even fix a little bit. But nobody's going to really see in that, I don't think. That covers a lot. And it's still light out right now. With Stacey's amazing little window covers in here. And the privacy curtains now up. We are completely closed in. And they have to open a door just to be able to see. Get some light in here just to be able to see. There we go. Now we can see her amazing work on these window covers. And this privacy curtain is in place and working great. I really like it. Works well. And the 42-inch wide pieces together is more than enough fabric that I need. A couple little clips to hold it on to the seatbelt works really well. And that length is perfect. I mean, it goes right down to the floor. There's no way anybody's seeing past that. And when you come up and you use a clip here on the little seat belt, or you can wrap it around here and clip it to itself if you really want more coverage. Seems to work pretty well. The top fringe overall works pretty well. It definitely helps versus having the rod sit in the top part, because then there was a larger gap. So you could sit here and play with this a little bit and cover things up a little bit more if you wanted to. And like I said, a lot of people were using this area right here. I just didn't feel comfortable with it, with there being a safety airbag in there. So I was just using the hole here on the seatbelt. Kind of come in on this and kind of show you. It's just poked in there. The rod itself is just poked into the seatbelt thing. I guess you could do it in the back. You could do it in the front. And then where I have a center console in the ceiling, I just kind of brought it up flush to that. And this is working pretty well. I really like the top fringe. Thank you, Stacey, for sewing that seam on there for me so that the rod sits lower in this pocket. I think that definitely helps cover up a majority of anything that may be seen through back here. I had to remove Stacey's little window covers here because it's too dark in the van. I'm laying down here on the bed, which is super, super comfortable. And, you know, I wanted to tell you that I've taken a few driveway naps here on this thing. I just want to test it out before I hit the road. It has been fantastic. It rivals any bed I've slept on in the house. ever. 6 inches of foam, super comfortable, platform super sturdy, even with me, big guy, it's still sturdy. My first trip will be in the middle of April down to Clarksdale, Mississippi. There's a blues festival where my brother is playing. Gonna head down there, visit with him, see the Blues Fest, enjoy a few days running around Mississippi. And I'm up in Michigan now, so I'll be traveling down to Mississippi. It's about 12 hours. I'll probably take a break halfway somewhere along that trip, 5 to 7 hours, and take a rest. Oh, interior lights went off. Take a rest and head out the next day for the drive. I just don't like to do marathon drives. I have a few more things I need to plan out, pack out, make a checklist of for this trip. And I appreciate in the comments if there's something in particular, because this will be my first real trip in the van to go down and do something like that. I've done it in my Honda Pilot before, and you know what I did? I took too much stuff. I packed the car with too many things and too much stuff. I thought I needed to bring everything, and I'm kind of learning, I'm not living in the van, I'm traveling in the van. I just want to take the things I need. I just want to take the things that I want to have with me for comfort. Sometimes, like a laptop or an iPad or something is nice to have. It's not an essential thing, but I like to sit down and watch that or something at night. Load some Netflix onto it or something and sit down and watch a program. Next will be some storage and organization. I'll bring a little bit of kitchen stuff, probably my Coleman stove, and maybe a small bag of my utensils and things that I'll need that are essential. I will have my Alpi cooler and a couple battery packs. I have a CPAP I use at night, so I have to have battery power for those things. And as I drive, because I have a 12-hour drive down and a 12-hour drive back, I'll be charging batteries and stuff. I'll be down there for a few days, so I think the batteries will hold out. And there might be times I drive somewhere or do something where I just have the car run for an hour or something. And at that time, anytime the car's running, I'll have a battery in to keep it charging and topping it off or charging it up. In the future, I have a few trips in May scheduled for Colorado, Wyoming, possibly Arizona and Albuquerque as well, going down through Texas probably, coming back up through Mississippi and Tennessee. So I'm going to be gone for 2 or 3 weeks at that point. Now, when I do that trip, I want to have a larger battery. I want a larger inverter. I want to bring a coffee maker with me. I want something with a little more battery power. If you've seen that video that I have out asking for help and advice on battery packs, maybe leave me a comment on that. I'm kind of leaning towards like a Jackery 1500 or a Bluetti AC 200P or the EcoFlow Delta, something like that. Now, I have to save up for that. I'm not sponsored. They aren't sending me one for free, that kind of deal. So I've sold a guitar, I've sold a couple little toys like a remote control airplane and a remote control car and stuff, and I'm just saving my pennies, and hopefully before May I can make that work to where I have a battery pack that's larger and will last me on that 2 to 3 week trip with charging while I drive. Obviously that's going to be about a 20-hour drive out to Wyoming, so I'll be stopping probably every 5 to 7 hours and call that a day, find a campground, find somewhere to park. I don't know, could even just be a Planet Fitness parking lot. Who knows? So, yeah, follow me on the journey. And I think that the blackout curtains were successful, along with Stacey's wonderful window blackout Reflectex pieces that she made that just turned out wonderful. Yeah, looking forward to the trip. Subscribe, follow along, give me some input in the comments on what things I need to remember to bring with me. I'm making a list on my phone, and that's probably going to be my next video. What I'm going to be taking with me, just the essentials. See you out there on the road.